said that the police would come and they would ask the same questions. I told them that they could ask me the same questions, but I would give the same answers.
Are you that guy who, do you live off the grid?
Their response is that I am creating an adversarial situation. That's exactly what they said. This is protocol. Well, I don't want to go along with your protocol, so...
Why are you so mysterious?
Man,
Technology
Jamie hates this
whatsoever.
guy.
I don't, but he scares me.
Jamie's from
Why?
California.
He's scared. You don't think he's scary?
This next caller just wants to break up dogfights and be left alone by the police, but that didn't happen. The cops got a hold of his medical information, and he is angry. Let's see if we can get him some justice. Dark Helmet, you're on the Hardly Legal Show. You've got some privacy issues. What's going on?
Yeah, well, so I went to the hospital 1/23/2024. I admitted myself with a dog bite. I was breaking up my two dogs from fighting at my home. When I went there and received care, they were asking information like, what is your address? I didn't really feel like giving them that information, so I just refused to give it to them.
Okay.
They said that it would be that the police would come and they would ask the same questions. I told them that they could ask me the same questions, but I would give the same answers.
You don't answer questions. Got it.
That's it.
Yep.
Yes, that's it. Officer came, asked me the same questions. I refused to answer that question, which was, where do you live? What's your address? She became visibly upset and said, well, I have other means of getting that information. And then she went over to the nurse's station where they handed her my information.
Wow, that sounds wrong. Bill,
Not wrong.
it isn't wrong?
It is not wrong. Most likely, it is not wrong. But let's get a little bit more information here. First of all, no question, this feels like, and I would consider to be, an invasion of privacy.
I feel
right?
invaded.
So there's no question. I feel that too. Even kind of hearing it, I get it, and then we're going to talk through the legal part. But let's talk about, finish the story. What happened after the police officer got the information? Did you have more interactions? Did you talk to the nurse? Let's hear a little bit more of that.
So she gets the information. She's at the nursing station. I'm still in the room. They're giving me documentation on a tetanus shot. I refused that tetanus shot after reading the information.
Because you don't. Why did you refuse the tetanus shot?
Because it wasn't solely a tetanus shot. It was tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis, I believe.
Well,
Okay.
Plus, they're probably putting a chip in him.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I want the
Exactly.
chip.
He knows
I
what I'm
want the
talking
chip.
about.
I want the chips.
He's
Give me the
getting
chips.
chipped for sure, dude. You got it. That's what tetanus is actually Latin for chip. A lot of people don't know that.
Become magnetic.
Yeah,
Frito?
yeah.
Doritos?
Listen, he's
All right.
He's calling us from a bunker
So
in Idaho.
You turned down the superpowers. And then what happened
I
after
did.
you rejected it?
I rejected it, and the nurse goes back to his station. I'm waiting for some time, and I go up to the nurse's station. I take out the IV. I go up to the nurse's station. I ask what the issue is. And their response to me is that they are waiting for animal control to get there in order for them to take pictures and document the incident. And then I say, well, I am not here for that. I just want to get treated and go home. To which they respond, well, then you would be going against medical advice, and we're going to have you sign a document saying as such.
Okay, so animal control kind of makes sense to me. We want to see if there's a werewolf out there, and we need to track that. Signing the form, that says, "Hey, we offered you tetanus. You said that it's a scam." That makes sense to me too. But where do the cops get involved? I'm still confused as to the cops.
Because it's a dog
Yeah,
bite.
What is the crime?
Well, they're not.
Well,
There's a
that-
dog.
I get that there's a dog, but whose
But
dog?
it was your
bit
own
you?
dog. My dog's bit me like
Yeah.
7 times.
Where's the? Is it a crime for a dog to bite a man?
Did you go to the
Well,
I've
hospital?
been
what
bitten
the-
No.
before.
Yeah, if you go to the hospital,
That's what
I think
the
there's
hospital
something.
was saying.
It's
Okay.
like if you show up with a gunshot wound, they have to report it, right?
That's a little different.
If you tell them it's a
different.
gunshot,
Yeah.
Well,
By the
that's
way,
the-
what kind of dog?
they're-
You had an
they're claiming-
IV? Like, it was a serious dog bite. You
Yeah,
have
my-
an IV?
Was this
my
a Chihuahua?
dog? My
How
dog shot me. So we don't need to
How
get
many
the
stitches?
It really wasn't a severe dog bite. It was, it had two staples. I mean, it wasn't.
And they
It
gave you an
wasn't
IV,
considered-
or were you just
Yeah,
hungover and you just
or
wanted to rejuvenate?
that was probably not it. But
This
yeah,
one hack
no,
doctors hate.
no, no. I'm not sure what their protocol was. I was just kind of I had just got off a 14-hour shift, had an hour of sleep before all of this kind of transpired, so I was just kind of
Okay.
Yeah.
not in the frame of mind.
So, question: you said you broke up a dog fight. Is that because the dog you'd bet on was losing?
No.
So the dog was losing, but you hadn't bet. Okay, so let me make sure I'm clear. So there's the dog bite, and to the best of your knowledge, the hospital is the one that would have notified the officer to come talk to you about this.
That was their claim. So after all of this incident, I filed a complaint with the hospital, and their justification was that they were quote unquote mandatory reporters.
Okay.
So they were mandatory reporting this incident because it was a dog bite.
That could be.
So here's what I'll tell you.
I don't
There
like it.
are 8 to 10 common exceptions to HIPAA. And HIPAA is the most well-known and kind of broad-based law that protects health information. And the PHI, personal health information, or protected health information, I don't recall which one it is right now, is the term for like your name and address, your medical history, all that, your social, etc. And law enforcement is specifically, I'm going to read it so that we're all very clear. HIPAA permits disclosure to law enforcement at law enforcement's request without judicial or administrative oversight. So no judge.
In the case of
When the PHI is needed to apprehend the perpetrator of a violent crime or a fugitive from lawful custody, or to identify or locate a suspect, fugitive, material witness, or missing person. And you can only give certain information, but that information includes name, address, date, place of birth, social security number, blood type, and penis size.
Yeah.
I think you might have added that last
Which is
part
most.
in.
What? Wait.
No, I think they left that out.
I just share mine always anyway.
And
I don't think
it's just
any-
girth. It's just girth.
Dick joke aside, I don't think any of those conditions were met by this.
I absolutely think they were.
Which part?
Fugitive can't be a dog.
Well, here's the thing. If you have dogs fighting,
Okay.
right? So think about if there's a limited amount of facts. Our guy knows everything. And I'm not defending it. Again, I still think this is a violation of privacy. I don't agree with this. I don't want the man coming in and being able to question people. So I agree with you. But from a legal standpoint, the reason why I see that is because dogs fighting, dog bites are a big issue right now
Yeah. Sure.
across the country.
Yeah.
So there's issues like, where are the dogs? Is this person going to lie to me about where the dogs are? Are these dogs the kind of dogs that are now loose or biting? Or is there an issue? Are there kids at home? And so in that moment, is it possible that there is a potential crime and there is here's the thing, material witness? At the very least, this guy was a material witness to his own dog bite.
Okay, I'm gonna pause you right there. When you went to the hospital, fake name, Dark Helmet. When you went to the hospital, did you say I broke up a dog fight, or did you say I have a dog bite?
I said I broke up a dog fight.
I give it to Bill. I concede to
I
Bill.
agree.
I concede to Bill. If you had said
Still wrong.
Should have said it was a
But legal.
raccoon or something. You should have just said it was something else in the backyard, like a
Platypus.
squirrel.
if you'd said it was a raccoon, they might have. What breed was it that bit you?
It's a red healer.
I don't know what that
Oh,
is.
so cute.
I don't know what that
Like
is.
Bluey.
Why were you so protective of your address? Were you afraid they were going to come and euthanize the dogs?
No, because I understood that it was implied consent to come to go along with their protocol. That's exactly what they said. This is protocol. Well, I don't want to go along with your protocol, so.
Are you that guy
really
who?
just-
Do you live off the
I just-
grid? Are you trying to?
No, I just wanted to go to bed. Like I said, I just got off a 14-hour shift. I had to be up at 4 a.m. I just didn't want to deal with wasting any more of my time.
What do you do? What do you do? Do you monitor the dark web?
I work in the oil and gas industry.
Oil
Yeah.
and gas industry.
The dark
Yes.
web. Exactly.
Very interesting.
So Dark Helmet, I'll tell you, I'm with you that sometimes these procedures can get crazy, and here's why: is because think of the limited information. This person is already treating you like they could have said. The cop could have said, "Hey, I don't want your information. I've got to fill out a report when there's a dog bite or gunshot wound, etc." Right? And knowing that you are already in the hospital, I think this was a failure of community policing as opposed to like the rules are all messed up, right? The rules have to be enforced by certain people. This officer chose to take the most aggressive way possible, short of just tasing you on your dog bite wound, right? So I think that's the bigger failure here. Even though, again, I think it's wrong that they're able to get this information from you, and it leads to a lot of problems, even if I understand some of the exceptions. So I think it will be pretty hard to make any kind of hay out of this, especially if there's not a damage of disclosure. Publication of it, that can lead to some statutory penalties and things like that. Certainly the hospital might have an issue, but I think they fall within this exception. What we can do is send you some of the resources, and you can talk through some of the facts. You can also give us some more if you think there's some other facts that are relevant, and some lawyers that you could talk to see if there might be something. Again, just hearing what we're hearing, unfortunately, sounds like an unfair but not illegal situation.
Has the arm, everything healed up okay?
Oh no. Because they didn't give me antibiotics, I ended up getting stupholitis.
No.
And I'm still kind of suffering from that issue.
Why didn't they give you antibiotics?
Because their claim is that I refused antibiotics, but it's because they said that I was going against medical advice.
So when
they
you
didn't give me-
said
You
you
refused
didn't
the
want,
shots.
yeah. So when you said you didn't want tetanus, they were like, "Well, then we're not going to give you anything." Is that what happened?
I don't know if that's what happened. I mean, I didn't sign a document saying I didn't want the antibiotics. From my understanding, they weren't giving me antibiotics because I wasn't going along with their protocol.
Why are you so mysterious? What are you hiding?
His name is Dark Helmet.
I mean, seriously.
Comes
But
with the
Dark
name.
Helmet's a great
I
reference
don't
because
think-
it's a wonderful
I
comedy.
get it. This is
Do
a
you-
hard
do
work.
you understand
this
the
is
privacy
This
world?
is a hardworking man who
I get
just
that.
wants to have
14-hour
his life.
shift.
Yeah,
I know, but all of our information's online anyway. So at the end of the day,
not this guy. This guy hides gold.
honestly, he does.
in
I
his
think
yard.
he thinks he's being chipped. Do you? Are you in our dimension or are you living in a different dimension?
I'm just trying to get away from butt stuff altogether.
Butt stuff altogether.
Away from butt
Yeah.
stuff. I don't like
Trust
him
me.
anymore. Sorry, Dark Helmet.
Yeah, you got to get away
You're
from
out.
the butt
No,
stuff.
so here's what I would say is, and we always want to, kind of speak the truth to everyone is, in this moment, I've been there, gotten off a long shift, deal with an issue, emergencies happening, etc., and there's definitely a problem there. What I would say is that in those moments, what I try and do, if at all possible, is go, can you explain it to me? Like, explain why we need to do this, right? And if they're going to give you the protocol, I just say, I don't understand that. Can you explain it again? And that doesn't require a ton of effort. It just requires a little bit of energy that you may not have had in that moment,
And you,
right?
you
And
might-
I get that.
You might not even have the ability to understand it, but what you can do is you can say, explain that to me again, and then pull out a voice memo and record. And if they're doing something wrong, you can figure it out later with the help of attorneys.
Yeah.
But in the moment, you should be trying to collect as much information as you can when you think people are infringing on your rights.
Are you getting treated for the infection?
Yeah, continuously. Well, I obtained the body cam footage, so that's the whole reason I reached out to you. Is I had obtained the body cam footage. On the body cam footage, they're even talking about my vaccination status with the officer.
Wow. Okay.
Oh.
Were you wearing a body cam?
No.
No.
officer.
The officer was.
wearing
Yeah.
a body cam.
Okay.
Yeah, I
It seemed
filed
odd to
a
me. I was
complaint
like-
with the officer, and then I did an open records request for the body cam footage.
And he asked about your vaccinations or the tetanus shots.
They were just openly discussing it with the officer while they were waiting on animal control.
Do you wish you lived back in the 1850s when there was no technology?
Man, Jamie hates this
whatsoever?
guy.
I don't, but he scares me.
Jamie's from
Why?
California.
You don't think he's scary
No.
at all?
Well,
He just wants to be
his
left
name is
alone
Dark
and
Here's the
fight
thing,
with
like,
dogs.
I feel the same way
That's
about.
it.
I
just
would
wanna be
love
left
to be
alone.
off the grid. I want to be in a gated community. I don't want to deal with. I don't like people. I
Where are
don't
you
like
going to
them.
get your power from?
community is
Where-
in the middle of the grid.
Yeah, but the problem
Literally
is,
the gate is a
listen.
grid.
But I do like luxuries. I want a bidet. I like simple pleasures. But I agree with you about the whole like. I've gone through this thing many times of like, ugh, why do I have to give you this? And finally, people complain and people were like, they're chipping me. And you're like, dude, you have an Instagram account with every photo from your life online.
Yeah.
So this whole like privacy issue, unless you are really like off the grid, which is so hard to do because you can't even get appointments anywhere unless you go online and put all your information in.
You
They're not
heard it here
stupid.
first. This professionally famous person does not value privacy.
I do not value privacy.
Well, there's a balance.
I
right?
don't.
You-
I really don't.
Let me give
we're,
you.
We're a society together, and
But some people do. It's a.
I
There's a,
get
it's
that,
a country,
and I'm okay with
yeah.
it. But when there's a dog bite, I have kids, and if I lived in that community, I'm all for them going, "Hey, man, what's happening with the dog bite?"
Right.
So I get it. It's like a gunshot. And I honestly,
But that's why I say the cop could have done a better job on the community policing. Because,
I agree.
Because I think Dark Helmet has some reasonable, if a little bit more heightened suspicion about what these folks are doing. And it sounds, with this new information that you just shared about them talking about status, talking about the vaccination status is actually not
that is not
allowed.
cool. I totally agree with that.
Right.
And medical history has to be private because people are prejudiced against for
Exactly.
jobs or for anything else. So
HIV status.
Of course,
Yes,
right.
that
Right.
status has to be private. But as far as like other stuff, I'm pretty
But it
like,
sounds like, well, I'm
These are
I'm
the
actually
little
very
erosions.
interested in the body cam footage and the
I am too, and the vaccination
thing.
status.
Yeah.
Those
is
little
impressive.
erosions are literally why HIPAA was created.
Yes.
Was because people will go, yeah, I don't think you should be going. Why? Well, he's got a little bit of the down there, right? Oh, okay, great. Now everyone knows everything, and people can't even go get treatment, and now they're not getting treatment, and it's a big issue. So you got the body cam footage. They're talking about your treatment status, and then and now you've got that information. I think this is the kind of thing that we can get you to an attorney who specializes in these HIPAA areas, and you're based in Texas, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Wait, he gave up. Now we know you're in. Now we got you.
We'll bleep that out.
Come punch you.
I'm from.
He's from
It'll be a pretty
Let's go
funny
get him.
clip when we beep it out. It'll be a pretty funny clip. That's
But
why
let
we
me
don't
ask-
do
Can
this
I ask
live.
one question? Do you wish you'd have said yes to the antibiotics at this point?
Oh, I didn't say no to him.
He didn't say no. He means the shot.
Well,
the
this
shot.
is every side has two stories. If I was the nurse and I was like, "Hey, we have all this stuff," and this guy's being combative and being signed, you'd be like, "All right, dude, sign yourself out and you're gone."
We've
Have
got
fun."
one story here, and that is we have a cam footage of information that is protected under HIPAA that is not in this being shared. So that is worth investigating.
That alone.
That is we gotta just like a dog that bites and refuses to let go. We need to latch on to this one thing that they clearly did wrong, because hey, when you called in, caller, I was immediately on your side. It felt wrong to me. And then
It feels
Bill
wrong.
did his lawyerings and he pulled out some type of law that said that it was allowed. But we found something that's outside of that law, and I think that's the purpose of the show, and that's probably why lawyers are sometimes not bad.
A necessary evil. So we're going to get you some resources on that front, because there are mechanisms for HIPAA violations. I assume you haven't notified the hospital about what you found on the body cam yet.
No, I did.
You
I
did?
notified them, but yeah, I've notified city council. I've talked to the city attorney there. I mean,
Oh man, you are
I've
dead
tried
serious.
Yeah,
So
I've
How
tried
did
what
you
are the
get a body-
responses?
How
Hold on,
do you
what
get
are
a
the-
body cam photo?
You just
Lawyer?
do a
You can do a
open
simple
records
form
request.
and they send it to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's how the news agencies get it.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So what has the response been to letting folks know about the body cam?
their response is that I am creating an adversarial situation.
Well, yeah, of
And
course
they've-
you are.
Well, you are.
Duh. Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
true.
hell yeah.
That's absolutely true.
They've pretty much stopped talking to me. I tried to talk to the chief of police. He ignored me. Like I said, I went to city council. They're ignoring me. Talked to the city attorney. We got into it. So
Was
it's
it a
just kind of
public hospital or a private hospital?
I would.
We're gonna
assume-
bleep it out. What's the name of the hospital? Okay, I'm gonna figure out whether we'll figure it out. Maybe Josh will look it up right this minute.
I think they just
Most
filed for Chapter 11.
Okay, well, that's even worse then. But we'll talk about that in a second. So the first thing is, if it's a private hospital, they have the city council, the chief of police, they have no jurisdiction. It's a federal law. HIPAA is governed within a specific agencies. It's its own self-enforcement, or it's a civil action. So going to those folks isn't going to do anything because they have no jurisdiction over it. Even if it's a public hospital, it may not be within their jurisdiction. It could be state-run, or it could be the county, and so it's not run by the city. And even then, most likely the city is not the place that's going to do anything about it. There's an internal officer that we can get you the identification for to report this to, and then there are other federal agencies that would deal with this specific issue. There might actually also be a state agency that governs health and human resources, depending on the name of the state, Health and Human Services, or those types of things that govern hospital licensing, and they are often concerned about the HIPAA issues. They are dog with a bone on HIPAA violations because they're the watchdogs. They're the ones making sure that hospitals aren't just dumping your data on a train and leaving it alone.
How was How are you harmed?
Perfect.
How are you harmed in this situation? Because they know a piece of information?
Jamie's being very practical here.
Jamie hates
Great
you.
question.
But
Go ahead.
seriously, honestly,
good question. It's
no,
a
no,
very good
honestly.
question.
But
This is a great question.
Here's my dilemma. You've put a lot of work into this, like
Yeah.
man hours. Like you're working full time. You didn't have 2 minutes to talk to them, but you have hours and hours and hours to submit all this claims and calls and messages.
Because he
So
cares about the principle.
You care about the principle.
He
of
cares.
It. But were you harmed in any monetary way or any physical way?
Yeah, I developed cellulitis. So if they had just given me antibiotics and the officer doesn't harass me, I don't even bother with them. But I like that cellulitis. Like I'm still developing
Yeah.
sores. I
But-
developed an allergic
let me-
reaction
he
to
refused.
coffee.
But here,
to
hold on.
care.
Let me. Can I advocate
doesn't
for you
feel
for
that
a
way.
second, Dark
I-
Helmet? Can I attack Jamie on your behalf for a
Please, I
second?
love getting attacked.
I want him to direct
And
his
then I want
hostility
Diamond
at me.
to attack
We-
Josh.
yeah.
And then I'm going to laugh.
Yeah,
Go.
I'm out of your weight class. All right. Okay. So for him, his position, and Grant, Dark Helmet, jump in and correct me if anything is wrong here, is he went to get treated.
Yes.
They asked him to give information that he didn't feel he needed to give.
Yes.
When he refused to give it, they not only went behind his back and got it, but they basically stopped treating him because he was not cooperative. Is that how you feel,
Hold
Dark
on, I
Helmet?
want to
That they
insert one thing on Jamie's behalf, which is he refused the shot. I think
He
fine,
signed.
whatever.
He signed.
Sure.
But he did not get an opportunity to decline or accept the antibiotics because they made a decision. If you don't take all of our treatment, we're not going to give you any of the treatment.
That is
they
a
did
great
not even
wording of
ask
it.
him.
That, but
Okay.
Dark Helmet feels like because he denied part of their standard operating procedure, they basically kicked him to the curb, and he feels
Right.
like he was violated, and then he has subsequent pain and injury that resulted from it. Is
I
that-
understand that.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
we've all become
Yeah.
friends again.
I'd have to see the forms that he signed, whether he, listen, you're hearing it, and all of a sudden the other people come out and go, he signed right here. It says an antibiotics is listed. And
You
we don't
know,
know. We don't know.
I know you didn't go to law school. You can still be a lawyer. Do it.
Honestly,
I'm
if I gave him
Can
the
I-
jacket, we could switch.
Switch
seats
him
right
out.
now.
Can I give him one more piece of advice?
Please, of course.
We've all seen the movies. You get shot. You don't go to the hospital. You go to that vet, right? They
The
go
one
in the
with the
back
ketamine.
room of the vet. Joe DeRosa plays the part
Yeah.
on Breaking Bad.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then he removes the bullet, and you give him like $400, and everything's kosher. And he knows if he rats you out, you kill that guy.
Yeah.
That's the answer. You got to find one of those doctors who's off the grid, who like fixes people for a couple bucks. Simple solution.
Dark Helmet, do you feel like you got a little bit of guidance here? And we're going to send you this information, both HIPAA attorneys and some resources on that front. But do you feel like you got a little bit of guidance on the issues that you're dealing with?
Oh yeah, I mean every little information helps.
Really appreciate you calling in today. And we'll definitely follow up with some more information and try and help you with this issue. I mean, at the end of the day, right, it's these little erosions that can lead to a bigger problem. Maybe it's not a big harm right now, which is still a great question, Jamie, of are these the battles worth fighting? But at the same time, there may come someone who doesn't have the ability or time or energy to go and vindicate their own rights in a much more serious situation. So, Dark Helmet, thanks for calling in.
If you're at home and you feel like someone has violated your HIPAA rights or cops have overreached, you can be a caller of this show. Just go to hardlylegal.com and click on the caller sign up form, and you can be attacked by our guest panelist as well.
Jamie just had the hard questions.
No, I like
like
it. I'm not.
Jamie's
I.
questions.
The whole
I
point
mean-
of the comedian chair is to say the stuff that we might not be able to say.
I kind of agreed with him at first, but now I feel like I changed my mind.
What was your impression of that call, Diamond?
I kind of agreed with him how, he didn't really want to say anything. Like, I feel like they have the right to ask him questions, and I'm pretty sure he signed the forms, so
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to say the guy was being a dick. He clearly has a dick streak. And I don't mean that in an attacking way. Like, some people just live that way. They live their life in a more reticent, less
they're
trustful.
antagonistic and
Antagonistic,
confrontational.
yes.
It's not the way to get. It's not the way to get things you want.
It generally, the vinegar, not as good as
My
the honey.
wife sends me to everything. I'm the best on the phone because, as you'll know, if you make somebody laugh, they'll give you the world. I
Yes.
teach my kids this all the time about, listen, if you want somebody to do what you want them to do it with a smile, make them laugh. Because if sometimes they'll do it for you anyway, but if you're kind of a dick,
Yeah.
they will immediately go, well, I'm not going to do that for that person. It's just a
Right.
human nature thing.
And I want to make one thing clear. We were on the same team. just went about it in different
No,
ways.
I
When he
love
said
it.
he denied the tetanus shot, I started rolling. I was being I was just using a subtle sarcasm, right? I was like, yeah, there's a whole bunch of words in there. Who knows what that is? You don't want to put. I was being, but you just came head on. You were like, dude.
The nurse said to you, "You should probably take this," and you're like, "No, what do you know?"
Are we against microchips in the president? Because I'm really looking forward to not having to have AirPods.
I won't go into specific ones, but obviously with the prevalence of social media and all these conspiracy things and things happening, and we just saw it came out this week that the Russians were using influencers to put up certain things very specific to help one person or the other, probably both, that we're reaching a point on Earth where you cannot believe what somebody tells you, and it's really not the way a society flourishes. All of a sudden, people, and it's not his fault. He's in an echo chamber of information that is telling him certain things are bad.
Yeah.
And you're like, there's a whole thing about SPF being bad, about sunscreen. There's all these influencers.
I thought he
about
meant
sunscreen.
Sam Bankman.
I know.
I was like, definitely
SPF.
bad.
SPF.
Well, unless he's
SPF is real
He's
bad.
Tom Brady's friend.
Tom Brady.
I just did a bunch of crypto commercials.
Larry
and it made me laugh
David.
so hard because all I could think was Steph Curry going, I shoot a basketball really well. Let me tell you what I know about crypto. It's so crazy what we're listening to.
It is.
And unfortunately, where do you find the truth? And it's creating real issues, and that's one of these things that this poor gentleman had to deal with.
If you have a crazy legal story and you want to talk to some lawyers anonymously, for free, call us.
Wait, we're not getting paid?
Nothing at all. I don't know how we're going to pay for it, to be honest.